most important thing that tax and tax-related matters always call for is to be transparent. In the last 3-4 years, to the credit of the CBDT, tax rates did not go up, but revenue is steadily going up. Evasion is being controlled. And I'll get into the details of why I would be generous in my praise of the CBDT today. But I'll come to that a bit later. The most important thing that tax and tax-related matters always call for is to be transparent, is to be very objective, don't allow any subjectivity to come into it, and be taxpayer friendly. And that is where I think I begin my talk to you today. I'll end it there as well. Inclusive of the minister to the last employee, the newest employee, it is this department which has a very tall order. You are going to have to be uncompromising in generating the resources. You are going to have to somehow make sure the revenue expectations are met. This year, much more than the BE, much more than the RE, you have shown that you're capable of collecting, and appreciations on that. But it is that which is becoming a very important task, as much as managing the perception about how we get that resources. And in that, I want to say that the government has not brought in any increase in the rates. So if the revenues are improving, it's not because we've hiked the tax rates. All right, there are times when imported commodities like fuel go up, indirect taxation, the rates there, the excise and other things go up. But here we are talking about the direct taxation. Income taxes rate has not been changed at all. But efficiency has improved. You've made sure that evasions are plugged. And as a result of which, you're able to generate an economy also is becoming more and more formalized. So as a result, you get a lot more people getting into this scheme of paying or being assessed for the taxation. Now, if I have not raised the tax, if government has not raised the tax, I'll again refer to one of the points which Honorable MO has mentioned. Prime Minister has been absolutely keen that technology is the answer for many problems that we face. And it was proved in the case of taxation, whether it's the GST Council or the CBDT, which was the first one to bring in the faceless, launched by the Honorable PM. It showed, in spite of the initial hesitation that all of us had, and I wouldn't say that the hesitation was only in the field formations. It was everywhere, saying, will it work? Will it, take off? Can this country adapt to faceless? After all, our assessees want to sit before the officers and say, look, please advise me how to go about it. Would they now feel completely cut off if they're put to faceless? All those hesitations, doubts, apprehensions are today completely removed. People realize it's a system which can work. Of course, they know it has got its own way. You'll have to sit and do it. You'll have to respond to it. You'll have to answer your emails. We've also brought in check filters unless it has a DIN, document information number. You're not going to be, which is centrally generated. You're not going to be sure whether that document is right or not. So if it has a DIN, yes, it is trustworthy. You reply to it. So system improvements using technology have all come in. And that is why I refer to the Prime Minister's statement that unless we get in technology, the 3 points which I said, transparency, objectivity, and being taxpayer friendly, will never be achieved. And we could show that in the matter of 2 years since after the introduction of faceless, you are able to be a lot more comfortable with executing your service through the use of technology, and as much making the tax assessee comfortable with a simplified system. And in that, the pre-filling of forms has come as a boon. It's not an exaggeration to say that. I've heard many assessees themselves tell me that the pre-filling has helped them. There are many people who are in transferable jobs, open an account in the place, probably keep a fixed deposit, forget all about it, and then you moved over to a different town, and now there's been at least 10 years since then, and suddenly it is the pre-fill which is telling them, oh my God, I've forgotten that fixed deposit which I started when I was in my first job. And then they claim, yes, it's mine, and therefore what assessment will have to be. So there are distinct advantages which have come about because of the introduction of technology. And in that, I'm not going to get into too much of a detail, but such changes, and not a change in the tax rate, such changes and not an increase in the tax rate has made tax assessee feel that he's better off filing, better off paying, because it's all now fairly transparent and simple. Pre-filling is one such a thing. Instant PAN is another. I remember in 2022, the Finance Act bringing the taxpayers' charter. It distinctly showed the commitment of the department to say, here's this is what we are going to work for. This is the charter which we will serve. And that's made a big impact in the minds of taxpayers, saying there is some code at least based on which they're going to serve me.